You know what? He ran around. He looked fine. You know, I'm still not quite sure what type of shape he's in. You know, today he's going to get more reps, and we have a better idea after today's practice.
Is Joey going to be full go either today or tomorrow, or are you going to still be confident?
He was limited yesterday, and we'll see. You know, I mean, Joey, he'll be ready when he's ready.
Any concerns about his readiness for Sunday?
Oh, it's possible. I mean it's a possibility that he might not be with us. You know, we're hopeful, but, you know, it's possible.
Are you surprised that it's lingered this long? It's been almost a month now.
Foot injuries, you know, they take on all the weight, the body weight, so, you know, that can be tricky. That's something that you don't really want to rush. You want to make sure that that's right before a player comes back.
Any more?
Anthony, what with regards to Antonio, within the guidelines, how much can he hit this week? I mean, in terms of, it's been a while since he's actually taken a hit, or
Sure.
How does that work?
Well, we'll hit him today. We'll find out.
How does he embrace practice and just being around the guys?
It's like he's never left, Ashley. You know, yesterday he was running around with the guys, and it was like, you know, I hadn't seen this guy since January, but it's like he's never left, to be honest with you. He fits right in.
He seemed pretty spry just in the little bit that we got to see of him moving around. Were you surprised that he was getting in and out of cuts like he did?
You know, I shouldn't say surprised. I was glad to see him getting in and out of cuts, but I wasn't surprised. Yeah.
You mentioned possible carryover of the culture from the end of last year. Can you talk a little bit about what that means, or what you meant by that?
Well, I mean, at this point, I'm tired of talking about it. Hopefully I can show you on Sunday, and we're going to find out one way or the other. You know, that's what makes this week so great. We get to open up with the division champs, and we get to see exactly where we're at as a football team, culture and everything.
How do you see Derwin James approaching game week as a rookie?
You know, he looks good in practice. It's a little different for the rookies because now we're game plan specific, and they have to learn a lot in a couple of days. And so some of those guys were a little slow yesterday, but you expect those guys to get better each and every day.
What do you expect from Uchenna on Sunday?
The guys show up and make plays, you know. That's what he did in preseason. He had an excellent camp, and so he's going to have plenty of opportunities.
Well, and I know that you were saying you guys were asking him to do a lot of different things. How have you seen him, pick out like the different areas that you guys have asked him?
You know, he played at open side end in college, and so that's kind of natural to him. So he didn't play that open side end for us as much. We put him on the other side. But where he's learning, his biggest learning curve is at linebacker. He's at the auto position, which some people call Sam linebacker. You know, that's the biggest learning curve for him, and I think he's handled that well.
Anthony, now having Antonio back, how much does it expand with Green, what you're able to do with the tight ends?
Well, having him back for 2 days, it doesn't do a whole lot, you know, right now. We're going in with our normal game plan, you know, if Antonio's playing or not. So with Virgil and Sean Colkin, you know, have a lot of confidence in those two and what they can do. We're just going to see if Antonio can help add to that this week.
Breakdown between Melvin's carries and Austin's touches, is that going to look similar to the way it was at the end of last year, or are you going to tinker around with that?
You never know. It depends on the flow of the game. You know, if it's one of those games where we're running the ball quite a bit, then Austin will get more carries. You know, if it's one of those games where we're throwing it, you know, I love Melvin as a wide receiver. He was second on our team last year in receptions. Melvin will stay in the game probably more, and we have plays for Austin. You know, we definitely have a role for Austin.
Do you feel like he's earned to be more of an impact guy in the offense based on what he did last year?
You know what? You can say that, but it's still only one football, and you know, there's a lot of guys earned the right to touch it. So I just hope he can make the plays that he can make when we call his number, Eric.
Maybe I should phrase it differently. Do you trust him a little bit more?
Oh, absolutely. I do trust him, no doubt about it. You know, I started trusting him more last year. You know, guy coming in here, earning the job on his team the way he did through special teams and how he played throughout the preseason. Yeah, he definitely earned all of our trust.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right.
but a really good task. The quarterback, I think he's got a chance to be really good. I think if you look at the history of Coach Reed's offenses, the quarterbacks have really thrived in it, and his system, I think, fits his skill set very well. So, like I said, we're looking forward to the opportunity.
Gus, when looking at trying to scout Mahomes, how much do you look at that game film from last year when he played Denver?
Well, you look at it because you're always trying to, you go back to college, you find preseason, the Denver game, you always look at, what's his decision making or how does he operate? And, is he a guy that takes off and will run? Can he extend plays? How does he handle certain different looks? So, you go back to college, you look at his preseason games, that Denver game, any film you can get your hands on.
At what point does it become too much if you're kind of digging through all the old film? At what point is it less relevant?
It is challenging. I don't know. I wouldn't say all the other staff members are doing it. I think for me, in the off season and then during camp, there'd be times you just, watch a game and check him out and then maybe pull some clips out and then maybe put together a cut up of his style and what he looks like. And so, the coaches and the players may look at that.
Coach Trevor went out pretty early in training camp in the preseason. It's been a while since you saw him, but he was listed as full yesterday. What's it like to have Trevor back in there and what he brings to the table?
Well, I mean, he's a guy that's, been proven for us. He's a guy that's played really well for us last year and understands what we're looking for. So you'd like to have guys practice all the time and play. But, I think with him, he understands it. So now it's just a matter of conditioning and getting back in the routine of things. But fortunately, we've had him this week.
And then you face a lot of playmakers in your career. Tyreek Hill, that speed, just how hard is it to defend?
Yeah, I mean, it's like a punt returner. Every time he touches the ball, because he, when he has a chance to operate in space, he's very dangerous. He can take the top off the defense. So there's so many ways that he can attack you, and they try to get him the ball as much as possible in some of those situations. So yeah, you have to have great awareness where he's at, but they have so many skilled players that you could be looking at the whole formation and see a good skill set.
Do you have a better sense after 4 weeks of the preseason of how they're going to officiate that lowering the helmet rule, especially in the summer?
Yeah, it's been challenging. The great thing about it is the NFL officials have been in our building multiple times, for our practices with the Saints, and then they had another 3 days with us, then OTAs. So we utilized that time to have them come into our meetings, especially with the coaches, and we would show them cut-ups of plays just to try to help us understand the rule. So I think we have a better understanding. I think there's still some, really, that's a penalty, some questions like that are in there, but they've done a really good job helping us kind of facilitate through this.
Does your kind of perspective on the rule change from maybe week 1 or week 2 of the preseason where there were multiple flags per game to now where maybe you're comfortable with what you can tell your players?
Well, I think we tell them the same thing. We haven't told them, hey, now it's in the regular season, you might be able to get away with this. We haven't had that conversation with them at all. It's more, we've been really teaching the techniques all the way through. Really, last year we taught them. But I think we've even emphasized it more in OTAs and even the hits on the quarterback, how to hit a quarterback, and those things. So we've just kind of continued that same mindset, regardless if it's preseason or regular season.
Gus, with the new rule, though, I know every team with analytics has the officiating stats and everything. Do you pay more attention to the crews as far as the roughing calls?
You do in the past, but it's such preseason is really, how many of these will this team call? You might look at the stat in the preseason, but I think for us it's more about us. We know if we have our head up and we tackle the way that we've been, talking about since OTAs and last year, that we'll be in good shape. And I think it's more, let's not put it in a position where we have to leave the officials make a call.
Coach, a young quarterback's best friend is that running game, and Kareem Hunt had some success last year. How do you approach stopping him because he's so versatile and pitches a lot of backfield as well?
He's challenging because, he can, in a tight quarters, he can make plays, but the way their system operates, he has a lot of opportunity to have some runs in open field. And that's where it's challenging with some of these RPOs that they're doing. So, he's a very talented back, but it is a challenge because of the weapons they have on the perimeter and, his style of run. So, he got to have a plan as far as tackling for him. He's a guy that I think he's one of the top running backs in the league for yards after contact. And so, he's a strong, fast, and he has the ability. We saw it last year where he can break it at any time.
Going back to scouting Mahomes real quick, on this team, Kaiser played against him in college, and Dylan Cantrell was his receiver from junior high through Texas Tech. How do you kind of break down, either talking to guys who know his game and then watching the tape? What's that?
Well, that's I should be talking to Dylan. I didn't know that part. I've talked to everybody else. But I think that what we see on tape, I think we mostly go by that. The NFL is such a different game, and some of the things that they're asking to do aren't the same things they asked them to do in college. So, I think for us when we watch college or some of his preseason games or, things like that, it's more just his style of play. Is he Brett Favre? Is he a guy that loses the pocket and tries to extend the play, or is he looking to run? Alex Smith at times would take off and run and try to get yardage on his feet, where I think Patrick's a guy that will more extend the play and look downfield. So it's more of those things that we're trying to find out about him.
Because Coach Lynn kind of mentioned a little bit, but when you have these rookies, it's their first time game planning, like German and China and Kazir. How different is that for them?
Well, I think there's a big difference. They're getting a lot of information. And our coaching staff, I say coaching staff, I'm talking about our other assistant coaches. They do a great job. We have a lot of information, but the ability to pare it down and to not overload our players. We always tell our players, we will put in things, we will put in adjustments, but never at the extent that where we lose playing fast. And so I think you got to kind of watch those guys and make sure that you're not overloading them, especially this early in the season.
You have so many of those guys on defense, but what's kind of your goal for them going into week one?
Well, really, just that they play fast. Now they're getting this information, but they'll trust that by the time we get to Sunday, hopefully they're not thinking and just reacting. So if we get them to where they really trust what they're doing and then play fast, but there's going to be some challenges they're going to face throughout the game, and there's going to be a learning curve. There's going to be some mistakes that are made, just like every game. But, hopefully with their athleticism, they make some plays as well.
When Kaiser and Derwin say the game, they step on the field for week one of the preseason, the game doesn't seem as fast as I thought it would. Does that surprise you?
They might say something different after this game. Ask them after this game. You know what? I think, when you go into preseason, it's really for us really about fundamentals. It's just going out there, and that's what we're preaching all 4 preseason games. And so, hey, it slowed down because I'm just concentrating on that. Well, now they're getting information added on to them. And so, hopefully they do play fast. Hopefully they say those same things. But there's a lot of moving parts to it and a lot of things going on.
Gus, Corey's out for 4 weeks, but if Joey can't go on Sunday, how much pressure does that put on your defensive line?
Well, I think – with the Joey situation, I'm not sure where he's at. He was limited yesterday, so we'll find out more. But I think whenever anybody's like that, you always have to have plans, for him. And a guy like Isaac Rochelle has done a nice job for us. I mean, he got a lot of reps in the preseason, and we're pretty high where he's at. Now, Ike was going to play anyway. So I think that as a defense, we feel pretty strongly about the guys that we have in place. I know there's a lot of times in preseason, our second group played well at times. So, and that's what we're trying to do is build a lot of depth so we can rotate a lot of guys. In that defensive line, hopefully there's 8 guys playing, for this game and really from this game on. So they'll all have a chance to play, and we'll rotate, and then we'll go.
Would you give Isaac the snap counts that Joey would have gotten, or would it be a different kind of rotation if Joey can't go?
No, Ike was going to play. I wouldn't be able to tell you right now how many, snaps he was going to get, but he was going to play. Okay, thank you.
It's good to have Antonio back. He brings a lot of things to the table besides just being a good player. The guys love him. He's a tremendous leader. And, it's hard to say this, but it didn't feel like he'd missed a beat. So, he's obviously been working, and he's familiar with the system. And he's a pretty good player. So it was good to get him back.
Phil was saying some different players there, but still Sutton coach defense and the same philosophy, the same scheme. What do you see from the other side of the ball?
Well, I think those guys do a great job of preparing their players. They always play well. They know their scheme. I know they've got some changes. It's a little bit different for them. There's some guys that have been with them for a while that were really good players that aren't there. But when you played in that system and you've played behind guys like that, you get acclimated to it. Coach Sutton does a great job, and Coach Reed does as well. So we know that no matter who lines up, the same things that they've been able to do, and they do a lot of different things. They give you multiple fronts. They put a lot of stress on you, and we're going to see those same things. Just going to be from different guys that they're NFL players. So it's going to be a challenge, but we're excited about our guys and the way that we progressed through the preseason, and hopefully we'll continue with the way our first units played in those games.
We've heard a lot about bringing in speed and playing faster. What's your expectation for Sunday?
Well, I would like to play somewhere at a level like the way we finished last year. That's a tall challenge because it is the first game of the season. What you face in this type of game is a lot of unknown, and especially when you talk about a team that we're playing. Some of the multiple defensive backs fronts that they use, we're not 100% sure where some of these guys are going to line up. So you are dealing a little bit with somewhat of the unknown. But I think having some guys that have been in our system, their ability to adjust will help us. So I think that what you'd like to see is that we play with confidence, that we know that we can be successful if we do it the right way, and I think the most important thing is that we don't turn the ball over. When you talk about this team and our experience with Kansas City, they've done a great job of taking the ball away from us, and that's hurt us. If we could eliminate those, then we've got a good chance.
How has Eric Berry's status kind of affected how you're preparing?
Well, he's a tremendous player. He has been and he's been a thorn in our side a number of times. But whether he plays or not, that'll all work itself out. We've got to prepare for it. We've got to prepare knowing that whoever is in that spot where he plays is going to understand their scheme and going to be a good player. So, if he doesn't play, he doesn't play. But that's the way it is every week in the NFL.
Coach, I know he's only been back a couple days, but having Antonio back, how much can it expand the game plan or your playbook with him and Virgil and doing two tight end stuff?
Well, we've been happy with some of the young guys in the way they played, especially Culkin. He's done a nice job, and rightfully so. He'll get a chance to play some in a regular season game, but there's so much knowledge and so much history between the quarterback and Antonio that there's things that you can do that it takes time to build with other guys. So having him back gives us that ability to do some things, especially maybe in the red zone, some of the areas where he's been so effective over his career. So, I feel like we've been progressing well as an offense. So, we'd planned to go forward not knowing what was going to happen. So having Antonio is a tremendous asset.
Phil keeping his interceptions down last year, was that mostly just him making better decisions or just kind of improving his supporting cast to have a lot to do with that as well?
Quite frankly, I think some of it was game situations. In the past, in some of those games, some of the ones where we had a number of interceptions, we're behind and trying to catch up, and teams were in situations where they could make some of those plays. And last year, if you think about it, we were in some of the games, not all of them, but in some of the games we were in better situations, especially later in the year. And I think really a big part of it was the focus. Coach Lynn came in and said that's something that was important to him. Not that it wasn't important to Coach McCoy or coaches before, but we had an emphasis on it. And, other than the Kansas City games, especially from our perspective, it was pretty decent. So hopefully I think that our guys understand now the importance of it. We've certainly had that message this week. Hope I don't jinx it by talking about it. I'm superstitious about that stuff. But, we feel good that consciousness of it and being aware of it and working on it, we work on drills and practice to make sure our ball security is good, will help us.
I think there were times in past seasons where Phil maybe felt like it was kind of up to him to win the game, and maybe that's why some of those interceptions piled up.
Well, to be honest with you, I think he feels like it's up to him to win it. That's just the way he's wired, and that's why he's been so good. And, there's a lot of times where you got to make those throws in tight windows. That's what this game's all about. When you go back and you break it down after a game and you see how many times the pass that goes in there is almost tipped or, where a guy comes off of a block and almost gets there, it's small margins. I don't necessarily think it was him pressing because he felt like he had to do it all. Some of it was just bad decisions. Some of it was bad luck. And, I think We've worked hard to try to improve on that. And it hasn't always been that way with Phillip. It was just we didn't have a great year in 2016 with that. Some of it was the way that season went, and credit to him. He worked on it, and Coach Lynn, and made it an emphasis, and we did better with it.
How pleased were you with Mike Williams preseason, and how much do you expect from him on Sunday?
Yeah, you always have, well, what do you expect from him in the first game? I don't know. This is his first game where he is the Mike Williams that we've seen in preseason camp. I give it to him. I give it credit to him. He worked hard because last year was a tough year. He missed all of camp, didn't get going really until, 6 games into the season, and then he got hurt and missed a little bit more. And, he just never seemed like he got up to who we thought he was going to be. And then this year in the OTAs, he had a little setback early, but then in camp he really just picked it up. So, you're excited to see it. But once again, in this role, we haven't seen him play in this role where he's going to play a little bit more and put him in situations where he can potentially make some plays. And I think a big thing is getting some reps with the quarterback. A lot of times in this league, when you have that confidence or when you have that build of repetitions, where you're working together, it makes it a little bit easier. So I'm excited to see what Mike can do. It'll be fun to see if he gets the opportunity to make some plays, what he does with that Sunday.
Coach, you guys are saying, Casey, every team holds stuff back from their run early in the year. Phillips is the same thing. You don't really get super front, but for you, working these things all off season, you've been holding back a little bit. Is there some kind of excitement to finally get to show all these things working on for so long?
Well, that puts a lot of pressure on me there, Ricky, because if we come out there and we don't do well, you're going to say, okay, great, this stuff they were working on sucked. But it's exciting because some of the things, we do work on some things when we're going against Gus, but now we're playing a different style of defense. And, we didn't show them necessarily in the preseason game some of the things that we're excited about. And you're always excited to see if they work. And, I think the big thing is when you design plays and players know that there's a chance it's coming to them, and all of the guys and how you spread the ball around, they get excited. And I really enjoy seeing that. When you get a play that you work on in practice and you see it work and you say, gosh, I wonder if this is going to work in the game, and then you get the look you want and it happens and you're just like, holy cow, it's exciting to see how juiced they get, and that's a big part of the fun as a coach for me, for us, to see that. So, I'm excited. I'm always excited for the regular season and seeing these guys play.
For a coach and play caller, how much is there the balance between letting it all out in the first week and still having to hold some stuff back for 14, 15 weeks so it isn't all there on tape?
Well, gosh, if we have a game where we let it all out this first game, it'll be pretty good. So I wouldn't be worried too much about that because we got a lot of stuff that we've been working on. But, it's funny. There's a couple of plays that we really like. And it's a good question. This is a good example. We got a couple plays that we really like. Now, we don't know necessarily if they're that great against this defense. And then you say, okay, well, am I going to hold it and run it against a defense where I know it's a better matchup and it's going to be good? But then I'm so excited about this play. Do I want to run it and see maybe it'll work, because that happens sometimes. So, yeah, there's going to be some that you run that you say, well, I ain't holding it back, all right? We want to win this game, so let's run it. So it'll be – there's always the battle with that. You can't run everything. And, you have some plays – many, many, many times you have a play where you just know it's going to work and it doesn't do anything. And then you have plays that you're like, yeah, I don't know, and then all of a sudden it goes for a touchdown. So it's just there's so many variables between what they're running and what your guys are doing. It's always a chess game to some extent. But I guess the long answer to your question is, in a game like this, first game of the year, you really want to make sure you use all your good stuff as much as you can.
Coach, Phillip recently mentioned the selflessness of all the guys around him. They all want success for the other guy. How important is that on an offense, knowing that your receivers, your running back, they're all rooting for each other?
I think it builds a chemistry with the team that allows you to be successful as a group, because we ask a lot of our players, and if you think about it, when you see guys lined up all in different spots, and sometimes, we ask them to be decoys. And you got a great player like Keenan. Sometimes he's a decoy running so that Tyrell or Travis can get a ball, and a lot of times with Antonio, especially In the past where he's gotten doubled, he's had to sacrifice for other guys to have success. So when you have guys that are unselfish and you're able to do all of those things, and you have a quarterback like Phillip that can handle it all, it allows you to be efficient and successful and have a good team. And I think, our line has really done a great job. The chemistry with our line has kind of driven us because those guys, they're really the ones that are underappreciated in this whole scheme. When Melvin has a big day running, it's largely because of them. And certainly when Phillip has one of those games like Dallas where he's 27 of 32, it's because of the protection, because of what they do. So they set the tone for us, and they've done a good job.